Recon Athlete Podcast is brought to you by Kreitz Market, The Social, and Focus Fit San Marcos.
Back here live at the Waterfront Village with my friend, the zombie, Jonathan. You're looking good. Jonathan just got an awesome face paint job. What do you think?
I like turtles.
Hope everybody's awake now. Recon Athlete, episode number 72. Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez on the line. Mr. Paul Rodriguez, what's going on, sir?
Well, good morning, gentlemen. How are you all today?
Oh, man, we're chilling. Shout out to everybody on the watch party. Got a shout out to Wes, Snoop Daniel down at the studio, Zach Lucetto, and Melanie Melanson, Boutwell. Shout out to Melanie. Melanie, I said her name right. It's Melanson. It's not Melanson. So we got the draft where I mean, there's so much to talk about with the draft. I don't even know where to start on that. We do want to talk a little bit of Greg Brown today as well. And then some other topics as assigned, but Paul Rodriguez, let's go ahead and get it started. Dallas Cowboys, 17th pick. You know, we decided to do a live draft watch party kind of thing. It was me and Snoop on the couch, you know, and shout out to BJ. Shout out to for joining us. Shout out to Reed and Matt Griner, Adam Barber, Mike Watson, a bunch of other people. Emo, Paul Partita, a bunch of other people were on the watch party with us. Shout out to all of them. And Dallas Cowboys, 17th pick. We talked about it. For those of us or those of our watchers and our listeners that didn't get our initial reaction to CeeDee Lamb, I think we were happy with that pick as Cowboys fans, right, Paul?
You better believe it, but we better make sure we give BJ's wife a big shout out for letting him stay on the line.
Oh yeah, forgot about that. Yeah, shout out Virginia.
So thank you, Virginia. But anyways, because it was fun with me and BJ, it was fun getting on the mic together like that.
Yeah.
But for CeeDee Lamb to fall, and Chris, I think you had two big prognostications about this draft with you wanting CeeDee Lamb to kind of hopefully fall in Dallas's lap, what eventually happened.
Yeah.
And we'll get later on in the draft with Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
But man, for CeeDee Lamb, I think Dallas's draft so far has been, with the first two rounds we want to focus on is with CeeDee Lamb to fall there and the big cornerback at Alabama to land in the second round. I think for Dallas, they've hit in the first round with the best talent available. May have not been with the hole they needed to fix, but I think this sweetens the pot even more for Dak Prescott now to sign, and I think this was an angle that Jerry Jones took to maybe get Dak to come down or maybe extend out the years of service on the contract that the Cowboys wanted. But man, I tell you what, if you can lace that contract with incentives for Dak to get his money and maybe do a 6-year deal with CeeDee Lamb, you can definitely hit those numbers. And man, if you want to say screw the defense, let's just go outscore people 42, 35, 42 points per game, 5 to 6 touchdowns a game, CeeDee Lamb is the best individual to do it. And I think, I'm going to say this now this morning, CeeDee Lamb will be the new number 1 receiver in Dallas.
I mean, he's good. Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of a lot of people have been saying that lately. He's going to be the number 1 guy. I mean, they did, of course, re-sign Amari Cooper, and he's going to learn a lot from Amari. But I think CeeDee Lamb is the type of player that can go into the NFL, make an immediate impact. And I know some people didn't really like him. I mean, he doesn't have the breakaway speed, but he's got that the big term now that everybody likes to use is catch radius. So he can go up and get the ball, and that's been an issue for the Dallas Cowboys, is getting the ball in the end zone for the past few years, right? I mean, like it's getting down to the red zone and then kicking field goals. I mean, that's not what they need. For some reason they wouldn't give it to Zeke. I didn't get that, but they would have issues getting into the end zone. So having a guy like CeeDee Lamb now as a weapon, that's going to be huge for Dak Prescott. I love the pick. I like CeeDee Lamb. I did say, I might be a little bit biased because we do get a lot more, we're going to
Big 12.
Yeah, we do a lot of Big 12 over here. You know what I'm saying? So, we don't really get to see a whole lot of the, I mean, they show Alabama every weekend. So, I mean, I did see Henry Ruggs. He did see, Jerry Jeudy. So it was impressive. But it's almost like Alabama's so stacked full of talent. It's like it's like when you go to an NBA game, you watch NBA players on the TV and they all look the same height, and then you go to the NBA game and they're like, you're like, oh my gosh, those guys are so tall, they're so big,
right?
It's kind of like that with Alabama. It's like everybody on their team is talented. You can't really tell who's really really good, but you can tell because Alabama has I don't know how many draft picks so far. But getting back to the Dallas Cowboys, and speaking of Alabama, Trevon Diggs, cornerback out of Alabama, their 2nd round pick. I think that was a great move too. Paul, what about you?
Yeah, I think it was an exceptional pick, and I think that this draft has been so heavy with receivers and DBs that a lot of high end talent is trickling down into the 2nd round and into the 3rd round, and for some players, grades to be 1st round graded and falling into the middle of the 2nd round, I think was a real big boost for the Cowboys. And I heard this and I started thinking about it, and I think we can just attribute this to all of the 7-on-7 training that these young men get during their high school career and junior high career, because with those extra repetitions, you're starting to see better skilled players throughout the entire country, which makes the game that much more enjoyable for the fans. And so I think we're seeing the fruits of those labors coming now into this draft with the heavy skill set players, the receivers and the DBs. And, it's great because now we can see high-end talent trickling down, and it's more enjoyable. I think yesterday I watched, while I was visiting with Snoop, I was watching the draft and got to see that pick live before I went on the show with Snoop at Flex ATX. And it was amazing to see Dallas making, I think, the right decisions for themselves for what they need, and to have a high-end DB playing high-end talent from Alabama, I think is very, very crucial for them. And props to Jerry Jones for making that huge decision on his $250 million with a B, $250 million yacht.
Yeah. I mean, he's on the yacht. I mean, I think as far as the flex goes, shout out Flex ATX, but as far as the flex goes, I think Jerry won that because everybody was talking about, Cliff Kingsbury's setup and the setup of some of the other people, at home. I think the funniest one was Mike Vrabel, who had, basically Joe Exotic's ex-husband and Frozone in the background. I don't know if you saw Mike Vrabel's got, his setup there and had a couple dudes. One guy with a mullet, and the other guy with like a onesie on.
That's his son, right?
Really? I wouldn't doubt it.
Mullet?
I wouldn't doubt it. I would not doubt it. Would not doubt it at all. So the Cowboys with the Trevon Diggs in the second round did get a defensive tackle out of Oklahoma as well, Gallimore as well in the third round. But I want to shout out to Wes. He's asking a question on my watch party here, and we can stick with the second round. He's wanting your opinion on the Eagles' second round pick. It's almost like everybody was. I mean, not everybody, but I was kind of surprised by their first round pick with Rieger. Thought there was other, I think Justin Jefferson was still on the board at that point. But they're to me, it's like they're looking for a Deshaun Jackson type. So that's what they thought. They're trying to stretch the field for Carson Wentz. But speaking of Carson Wentz, I mean, the second round pick, they go Jalen Hurts, and I got to shout out BJ because he sent a text last night and he was like, "Man, I told you guys." Because BJ's knows and he knows everything, according to him.
Sure he does.
According to him, he said, "I told you guys that Carson Wentz is for fake." That's why the Eagles went and got Jalen Hurts. Paul, your thoughts on that pick?
Well, I think if BJ wants to say that Carson Wentz is for fake, as far as him being injury prone, yeah, there's a valid statement there because obviously he's great during, the month of September, October, November. When December comes, his body kind of falls apart. Mm-hmm. But Jalen Hurts, I think, was and I know everybody's going to say that Jalen Hurts played in the SEC, played at Alabama, won a title, and went to make a name for himself at Oklahoma. Okay, fine. But you're reaching, in my opinion, at that pick with, in my opinion, the best for that grade of a pick, I think, is a C. I mean, they hit a home run in the first round, but for Jalen Hurts to go in the second round to the Philadelphia Eagles, this just means that the Eagles don't have confidence, or this is just going to be an expensive insurance policy for the Philadelphia Eagles to ensure that if Carson Wentz goes down, they have a viable option, which is sure insurance at that quarterback position. But I don't know if Jalen Hurts is ready to read NFL-level defenses. I think he barely was able to read Big 12 defenses, which isn't really saying a whole lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And shout out to the Sarge getting on the watch party. Eagles wasted a pick on Jalen Hurts. They need a running back. And that's what the Sarge says on that. But yeah, I mean, you have to go with that. You have to go with that theory and that way of thinking, Paul, that the Eagles are, thinking that, Carson Wentz, he's shown us that he's not able to play a full season. So, they needed that insurance, that backup plan. And, if you got an exciting, backup guy, I guess, it's something to quote unquote look forward to if your quarterback gets hurt. And I guess, Jalen Hurts is a little bit unpolished, and you just mentioned it, and he had some issues reading defenses. So if he's got 2, 3 years, 4 years, to kind of sit back there and learn, then it might be good for him, or it will be good for him. And, we'll see. I'm actually excited about this Philadelphia Eagles draft because they're wasting picks. So,
well, that's exactly what I was going to say, was that this year kind of seems how like the Dallas Cowboys were picking like in the mid 2000s. Mm-hmm. This just seems like they just swapped positions where Dallas is finding best talent on the board and then picking for what they need afterwards, and the Philadelphia Eagles are reaching for God knows what.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not really sure what they're thinking right now. All right, Recon Athlete, episode 72. Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez on the line. Shout out to everybody on the watch party. Shout out to Wes and the Sarge are getting involved here. Let's see. Sarge says Eagles could have waited to get a sleeper pick at quarterback, third round to carry at the quarterback spot in the third round to carry a clipboard and learn. Wes wants to know who's winning the draft at this point. That's a good question. I know Snoop. Shout out to Snoop. He's at the studio over at the Horn getting some stuff done. Before we started here, we talked a little bit. He was a fan, and now that I look back at it, he's a fan of what Baltimore's doing.
Man, that took the words right out of my
really?
mouth.
Okay. He's a fan with Baltimore with Patrick Queen, inside linebacker at LSU in the first round. Second round, they come around, get Ohio State running back J.K. Dobbins. Get the kid defensive tackle out of A&M, Devin Duvernay in the third round as well. Wide receiver out of Texas. They get a linebacker out of Ohio State, Malik Harrison, and then a tackle out of Mississippi State, Tyre Phillips. And I tell you what, man, it's kind of easy to say that they're winning the draft because they have so many early picks, in third round. I mean, they have 1, 2, 3, 4 picks in the third round. But, I mean, they haven't wasted any, in my opinion. They haven't wasted any. And, Paul, you obviously have enjoyed what Baltimore has done. Talk a little bit about what the Ravens have done.
Well, whoever Ozzie Newsome, the former GM, groomed to take his spot is continuing to do just as good a job as evaluating talent as he did. And for me, I think for J.K. Dobbins to slip as far as he did and for Baltimore to pick him up in the third round, I think is amazing because this young man out of LaGrange, Texas, went up to Ohio State and just, followed the lineage of great Ohio State running backs. And now back in the NFL to pair along with in the backfield with Lamar Jackson, I just think is a great fit for them. And man, they're just adding more weapons. But I think for the GM to come in and fill in holes, especially at the receiver, like the slot receiver position with Duvernay, I think a lot of people are going to be waking up to how good he really is. And I think with his straight line speed and his quick twitch ability, he will shock a lot of people. And if you can get Lamar Jackson moving in the pocket, which he's great at doing, and you have a slashing Duvernay, it's going to make a lot of people uncomfortable. I think especially in RPO situations as well.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be hard to keep up with the Baltimore Ravens this coming up season. That's for sure. They've had an amazing draft so far. Yeah, I mean J.K. Dobbins in the second round. I mean that's huge. I mean they already got Ingram, you already got Gus Edwards. I mean it's a three-headed monster back there now, and then you add Duvernay, and then you go back and get a very good linebacker and a serviceable tackle. I mean the Ravens doing big things right now. I do want to mention they only had 3 picks. Yeah, 3 picks. And they didn't get one in the first round. But I like what they did was the Indianapolis Colts. Now that they've got a new quarterback, an old new quarterback in Phillip Rivers, they were able to snatch up Michael Pittman Jr. out of USC in the second round and then turn around and get Jonathan Taylor. What a lot of people had as the number 1 running back coming out of college, out of Wisconsin in the second round as well. And then with Julian Blackmon, the safety out of Utah in the third round, I thought, as far as offense goes and the value, I thought the Colts did a really good job with Pittman and Jonathan Taylor. What do you thoughts about that, Paul?
It sure is nice to see that the Indianapolis Colts were intentions are to win now and put weapons in with Phillip Rivers, because for him to leave the situation in San Diego with a plethora of weapons, with Eckler, I just think, and Keenan Allen, I just think it was amazing for him to leave and have that ability to go to Indianapolis. But with the Indianapolis type of defense, to add in the type of offensive weapons that they are having, it's just going to bode well, I think, for the confidence of Phillip Rivers, knowing that they want to win. They want to win now, and with that 1-year contract, I sure hope they can get something done. And maybe it leads to a 2nd-year contract if they can go, probably to the divisional round of the playoffs, if not further.
Yeah, it's gonna be good for them. Shout out to Scotty C. Scott Cunningham got on here in the watch party. He brings up the Raiders. Now he's a Kentucky Wildcat fan, so he'd like the Lynn Bowden Jr. Pick out of Kentucky. The wide receiver, is it Bowden or Bowden? I need to get these names. I feel like Roger Goodell's, not being able to pronounce the names correct. But looking at, that kind of made me curious. I was like, let's look at the Raiders. They got 3 wide receivers. in the first 3 rounds.
Yeah.
The first one, the Henry Ruggs, and then they go Bowden, and then they go Brian Edwards out of South Carolina. Does that mean they want to throw the ball, Paul? I mean, that's kind of what they're telling me right now.
I'll say this: they're going to make Derek Carr use his arm, I think, this season, and they're just going to. They have to add the weapons, Chris. I mean, it's an arms race. It's literally an arms race because they have the Super Bowl winner in their division, and so having to keep up with Denver, with Colton Sutton, and then adding the Denver Broncos adding Jerry Jeudy, and then of course the Kansas City Chiefs just continue adding more pieces. I think in the first round they ended up with Edwards-Helaire from the LSU running back, and so I think with Ruggs, speed, and then these receivers are going to make sure that Derek Carr can move the sticks, I think, down the field. So, I guess everybody wants to do offense this year. They're just going to put defense on the back burner.
I mean, are we turning as NFL turning into the Big 12? I mean, it's like it's almost like let's just see how many points we can score and win these games 45-35. And
it's what.
Go ahead, Paul.
It's always what's popular, Chris, and then we kind of see that trickle down. And the SEC, we used to see 13-7 or 20-13, and then now we're seeing larger and larger scores on the scoreboard in the SEC, and of course we've had that in the Big 12 for 15 years. Mm-hmm. So here we go. I guess it's just finally trickling down to NFL, because when you have guys like Mahomes who can throw the ball from any angle, Lamar Jackson who can move the ball down the field with his arms or legs, you're going to get the college game, the high school game to the college game to the NFL, and now we're living it.
Yeah. And I think, we mentioned it when we were having our live draft watch party there the other night. I think I mentioned, the fact that, the NFL being the copycat league, and everybody sees, what Kansas City's been able to do with all the weapons that they have. So they're trying to do the same thing. I think the Raiders are trying to keep up with the Joneses. But I think, as far as the transition of the NFL into the Big 12 as far as points goes, I mean, it's been set up over the years. The rules changes that they've made, just some of the things that have done to protect the quarterback, to protect the wide receivers, to protect the offensive player, has set it up to, for this transition for the Geats games to be high scoring. And so that's, and so we see it in the draft. It's like, okay, well, if this is how this game is going to be played in the future, or presently and then in the future, we need to load up on wide receivers. We need to load up on skill guys, and we need to load up on offensive tackles to take care of our quarterbacks. And we need to load up on quarterbacks, because our quarterbacks might get hurt because they're going to be holding. I mean, obviously they get the ball every play, but we see Carson Wentz, or we see the Eagles get Jalen Hurts to back up Carson Wentz, and speaking of that, I want to, of course, make the transition to the Green Bay Packers. I think a lot of people were kind of surprised by this. I was one of the things that I called the other night on Wednesday night was a Jordan Love pickup. So, shout out to me for making that prognostication that the Packers would get a Love and then, basically start the whole Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers saga all over again with Aaron Rodgers in the Brett Favre seat. But they apparently, Aaron Rodgers has called the young kid and congratulated him, and hasn't really said anything about this pick yet. Aaron Rodgers, still 36 years old. He's not, it's not like he's pushing 40 yet. Is this, are they really getting ready? Are they really wanting this rookie quarterback to sit for 3 or 4 years, Paul?
I don't think so, man. I mean, Zach and I were kind of talking about this in the messenger, and I was kind of hoping he would be on so that we could kind of have this discussion with him, since he's the Green Bay Packer fan in the room. But my biggest thing is this is the transition. This is the beginning of the end for Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. And I really believe, and a lot of people may disagree with this, but I really feel this is where the second year GM and second year head coach want to put their stamp on the Green Bay Packers and bring in their guy, the guy that they want to be the next quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. But for Aaron Rodgers, he's got 4 years left on his deal. When Aaron came into Green Bay, Brett Favre had 3 years left on his deal, and they made the move. Mike McCarthy shipped out Brett Favre, and now I think Matt LaFleur is going to force, maybe indirectly, Aaron Rodgers to give him his walking papers. Now, Aaron Rodgers is a competitor, and I kind of said this that on that night is that this pissed off Aaron Rodgers. They needed to get a skill player with a heavy skill player draft to get more weapons around him that are elite. I mean, he has elite run. Yeah, I think he has an elite running back, and I think he has an elite receiver. But we're obviously seeing these teams who already have that in place are adding to the war chest, and the Green Bay Packers needed it, being one game away from the Super Bowl and going down to the 49ers in the NFC Championship game, where if they probably had some more elite talent, Aaron wouldn't have had to lean on, Adams and Aaron Jones as much as he needed to. So with me, this is going to reinvigorate Aaron Rodgers. Do I think he takes Jordan Love under his arm and groom him to take his job? I don't think so. I think he did what was expected of him and called the guy, said congratulations. But I said this the other night. He's going to shake Jordan Love's hand, Aaron Rodgers is, and he's going to say, keep up. And that's it.
Yeah.
And so this is a meritocracy. This is about performance. If he can't keep up, hey, man, that's on you, bro. I'm here to earn my paycheck, and I'm going to make sure I'm the best viable option at quarterback for the Green Bay Packers.
Well, we'll see. Well, Wes says, hey, Jerry, take the shot and go get A-Rod.
Hey, I mean, I wouldn't be mad at him.
I wouldn't be mad at it either. I mean, yeah, let's try it. Recon Athlete, episode 72, Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez. Shout out to Zach Lucero. I don't know if he's going to call in or not. And he's on the watch party. But shout out everybody shout out everybody on the watch party. All our quarantine brethren. And the draft is going to start again here in about 3 minutes. I was going to see if I can get it on my ESPN Watch app here on my computer. Maybe try to keep up with it a little bit if I can. I got a lot of things going on though. Trying to do a million things at once. But yeah, I mean, I tell you what, I got to shout out to Zach because he did chime in on the Raiders. He said, I think the Raiders are telling Carr to prove it by taking away the excuse of not having any weapons. They also could be prepping to have the right setup for if they bring in another quarterback after Carr. So, yeah, I think. What do you think about that take, Paul?
Yeah, going back to meritocracy, I think Zach is spot on, and I think that John Gruden wants to take everything off the table and say, "Hey, man, are you going to be the guy? Here you go. Here are your weapons. Let's go to work."
Yeah. All right, so we've got the fourth round coming up, fourth through seventh. So they've done 106 picks. I think they've got 120 something left. Going to do all of those today. Now, I think one of the things that's been said about this draft so far is we did have some trades. We saw, I think the first trade was it Tampa Bay moving up? That might have been the first one. Yeah, Tampa Bay moving up one spot to get Tristan Wirfs. Shout out to Paul Bazan. He was talking Tampa Bay on the watch party here. Liked what they've done so far. I mean, I think everybody's liked what Tampa Bay has done. But yeah, I mean, they moved up a spot. There's been a couple other. I mean, Miami moved around. Green Bay moved, or San Francisco moved. I mean, there were some trades, Paul, but like it almost seemed like that the teams were maybe a little bit hesitant to make trades, or maybe they weren't able to communicate as well. with the setup to get trades done. But I think maybe today with 4 through 7, I think maybe we'll see more trades because right now this is where, I mean, and even all our fantasy football players. Oh, here we go. Hold on. What up?
What up?
All right, hold on. I gotta merge y'all's calls. Oops. Messing everything up now. Dang it. Sorry, y'all. All right. Hold on. Are y'all there? I got to put y'all on the roadcaster. And there we are. What up, Zach?
What up?
You doing all right?
Yeah, I had to charge my phone.
Oh, okay.
So I don't want it to die while I was talking, and I talked with the headphones. So you charge and put the headphones in the same port, so I could only do one at a time.
Oh, okay. Any take on any of the draft talk that we've had? Or I just talked about your Raiders take. You want to talk any Packers?
Yeah,
you want to talk anything?
Attention, all Recon fans. I'm sorry that Chris never reads the comments.
Man, I'm reading as much as I can, dude. I'm reading as much as I can. I really am.
I comment all the time. He never reads my take, so I can only imagine how it is for.
I've read Wes's take. I've read Scotty C's take. Snoop says, "Let's get some scotch and fig Newtons." I don't even know what that means. Wes wants to know. He wants to know if the Cowboys go safety or center next. I want a safety. I want a center. I think what's his name? Tyler Bides. I can't remember. I can't say his name. The guy out of Wisconsin. I think that'd be a good guy.
And the West dude told the other dude quit being such a Kentucky fan. It's popping in the comments.
I know.
You don't even know.
I know. I'm trying. I'm trying to keep up, man. I'm trying to keep up.
You were talking about people that could be considered winning the draft, and I said the Jets. I mean, they needed to get offensive tackle in the first round. They got that with Becton out of Louisville, and they needed a receiver, and they ended up trading back in the draft and acquiring assets, or acquiring more picks, and still getting them in the second round. So I think they're right on track. They also picked up a safety from Berkeley. And they had one of the strongest secondaries in college football last year. So I think the Jets are doing really well.
The Jets, huh? All right. Paul Rodriguez, you like what the Jets have done so far?
I think the Becton pick was an exceptional pick, but for Mims to fall to give Sam Darnold, I think his premier weapon, especially with Robbie Anderson leaving, a really solid pick, and I think that's the Jets are kind of literally flying under the radar right now, but those are two big picks I think that really helped them, and I just spilled coffee from.
I think to kind of read the room and see that Mims is falling and know that you can trade back in the draft and still get a guy like that, I think it's huge.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm on board with that.
Yeah,
and I like that Lynn Bowden pick too. I think he really fits with the Raiders kind of mantra that they've had. If they kind of keep the same thing going from Oakland to Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, y'all all remember that bowl game where he had his shirt off with all dripped out with all his chains on, trying to fight everybody.
Yeah. So I mean, it's going to be right up that alley. So, but I mean, I do like that take, Zach, about the Raiders just stacking up and saying, hey, Derek Carr, get the job done. So I mean. Do you think he can get the job done with all these weapons that they've given him now?
I mean, I think it definitely makes it easier. I don't know if I would have gone Ruggs as the number one receiver that they picked. I mean, I get that they're trying to keep. I mean, Michael Irvin even called him like a Tyreek Hill type, but that's just such a hard comparison to make.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, both the quarterbacks that they have there have like the cannon of an arm to hit a deep threat like that, but I don't know, and I just think I think Gruden kind of picks like how you and I would pick. Like you see him with all his like kids in the room, and he's like, hey man, what do you think if I take this Ruggs guy? That is pretty cool, huh? And he just does that, and he's like, asked his son, like, he's playing Madden, like, what position should I get next? He's like, how about a bunch of receivers? He's like, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. And he just gets a bunch of receivers.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, it's like you're doing your fantasy draft and you're in rounds like, 5 through 8 and you just go receiver, receiver, receiver. You're just trying to stack up on them. All right. Recon Athlete episode number 72. Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez, Zach Luceto on the line. Let's see. Oh, we got a couple of, and let me go to the watch party comments, Zach. We got a couple of Patriots comments. One from the Sarge, Emilio Juarez. How about the New England Patriots picks? Not one quarterback selected. And then Wes asks, any chance the Patriots still win the AFC East? Let's go with that first one. Surprised that the New England Patriots haven't picked a quarterback. Paul Rodriguez.
No, because they're going to tank. I think they want Trevor Lawrence.
They're going to go in the tank.
I'm not going to get off of this for the whole season. So
tankathon.
I don't think Jarrett Stidham's the guy. And I know BJ was talking about Bill Belichick just walking, but I don't think that's in him. It's not in his makeup. And I think that I got a really bad feeling that Bill Belichick's going to make Jarrett Stidham just quit football with his high demand of excellence. And so I don't know. Thanks, Jarrett Stidham, but I think your replacement's coming next year.
All right, Zach Luceto.
I mean, everyone really expects Stidham to be like the man. Like, he hasn't been the man since high school. I mean, he went to Baylor. It's supposed to be a big deal there. He wasn't. He went to Auburn. It's supposed to be a big deal there. He wasn't. And now all of a sudden he's supposed to be the man of the Patriots. Like, he's going to finally get it right in the NFL for New England. Like, I think that's just a bit of a stretch. But I mean, I think them not taking a quarterback, I think A, shows that like they really do believe in Stidham, and B, I think is also kind of like a flex for Belichick, saying like, I'm such a good drafter that I can just take quarterbacks late like I've always done and turn them into stars. So like, I don't need to take a quarterback in these first couple of days. I can find one later that y'all don't know about and turn him into a stud, like I did Brissett, like I did Garoppolo.
Yeah, and I'm trying to see where they're picking next. It looks like it's kind of far down. Let's see. So they did go, Kyle Duggar, safety, and then they go defensive end, linebacker in the second and third round. And then they go tight end with Devin Asiasi and Dalton Keene. They don't have another pick until the fifth round, the 14th pick in the fifth round. I'm not sure what kind of quarterback's going to be available then, but I'm very surprised that they're going to that they're not just not trying to get a quarterback at all. And then I don't know if Wes is being serious about any chance the Patriots still win the AFC East. But shout out to Mike Watson. He says probably because the coach is still there. Any chance, Zach Luceto, that the Patriots win the AFC East?
I mean, you just can't ever like rule them out. Like
right?
Even when everyone was injured for Alabama, everyone was like, "Well, I don't know."
Yeah.
So I think it's just so hard to say that. But I mean, all signs are pointing to it's definitely going to be a tough time. And I think also the Patriots, I think they're going to get a quarterback like not from the draft. They're going to end up with, like Paul says, Cam Newton. They're going to end up with a Jameis Winston, somebody like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's why they haven't really addressed the quarterback so far in the draft as well, is that they're thinking they're not going to need to.
Yeah. Paul Rodriguez, anything, or do you think Patriots still win the AFC East?
No, I think Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills do that, but I mean, it could be a race between them and the Jets, but I don't know, man. I really like Jacob Eason out of Washington, and I could really see that kind of guy fitting in with Bill Belichick, and I don't know. I think with his style of quarterback play, man, I think that would be a fit. But Jarrett Stidham, man, I'm sure he's a great human being, but his quarterback play is just garbage.
Paul, I was texting my boy who coaches at Cistern Valley, and we were talking about the draft and about the Patriots, and I said Eason too. I mean, he just kind of reminds me of Brock Osweiler, where like they were so in love with him, and he's just this big, tall, sturdy, like very prototypical quarterback. And I mean that Eason to a T. So I think that I could see that as well.
I mean, do you think that he would last Jacob Eason? He'd still be there in the middle of the fifth round, though. I mean, it's kind of a long way to go. Right now, he's the second best quarterback available behind Jake with State Farm, the quarterback out of Georgia. And
he signed with State Farm, right?
Oh, Jake did?
Yeah.
Oh, you have to, man. When you're Jake with State Farm, you have to sign it. You have to get that money.
I think it's Jake from State Farm.
Oh, Jake from State Farm. Oh, okay. Word up. Shout out to Jake from and getting that money before you even get drafted. That's how you do it. But yeah, I mean, that would be I guess a prototypical pick. I mean, looking at the quarterbacks, just let me throw some names out there for you guys. Anthony Gordon out of Washington State. Nate Stanley
I like the Hawaii guy.
Nate Stanley out of Iowa. Hawaii. Cole McDonald.
I like him.
He's 6'3", 215. Yeah.
He had dreads in college. White dude with dreads.
Yeah, he's funny. He's a character.
Let's see. James Morgan out of Florida International. 6'4", 229. Jake Luton out of Oregon State. That kid's 6'6", 224. I mean, if Belichick is waiting to get a quarterback, if he's even going to get a quarterback, there's some big kids, still out there. If that's what he's like, I just need a guy that can see over the line and it's going to sit in the pocket and run my style of offense. There's still some big kids out there. Brian, kid out of Michigan State, 6'3", 213. So I don't know. We'll see. All right, the draft started. I'm not. Did y'all see who the Bengals picked? First round pick. First pick in the third round.
It's Akeem Davis Gaithier.
Outside linebacker out of Appalachian State, and it looks like the Washington Redskins are on the clock. So,
I want to talk a little bit more about Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
I think everyone's like really dissing this take in terms of Jalen Hurts not being a very good quarterback. But I mean, I don't know if you necessarily should grade him as a quarterback.
Okay.
I think in terms of first round value, how much value do you think the Saints put on, what's his name from BYU? Taysom Hill. Like, how much value does that type of player have on that franchise, on that team? And I think that's how the Eagles are looking at Jalen Hurts. Is no, he doesn't have first round value as a quarterback, but in terms of the guy that we can make do everything like Taysom Hill does for the Saints, I think that has first round value to anything.
So you're saying he's going to be like a goal line quarterback or goal line flex player?
I think the comparison between him and Taysom Hill in terms of what the Eagles are going to try to do, I mean, it may not work. And I mean, you see first round picks get kind of busted a lot. But I mean, I think in terms of what they're trying to do is, I think, going to be like that, because I mean, you have a young quarterback, so you're not really. I don't think you're necessarily trying to get the next guy. I think you're trying to fill in a totally different role.
It's a new age Cordell Stewart, like these two guys, and I think that's a really good assessment, because that's kind of how I was kind of viewing things a lot for Jalen Hurts. And I'll be really honest with you, I wanted him to go to Dallas to kind of really do that kind of slash kind of player and fill that role. But it looks like the Eagles took him instead. But yeah, if you want to grade him as a quarterback, it's a bad pick. But if you want to just go overall value, yeah, I think you're spot on with that assessment.
I think it's the only way to make it make sense, I think.
Yeah, it's the justification for sure.
And then I want to talk about also how have y'all just had the viewing experience of the draft? What have y'all thought about that? I think they need to get the levels of Goodell's mic in terms of when he's on the air and when he's not. I need to get that fixed. I mean, during that first round pick for the Browns, and had that cancer survivor talking, and all of a sudden you hear Goodell in the background say, "Okay, that's enough. Back to me." And I was like, "Jeez,
hey,
and then after one of the picks yesterday, he goes, like, they cut away from him, and he goes, "I nailed that one."
Oh, okay. So he needs to. They needed. Well, that's the producers, though, man. They need to he's got a hot mic. They got to cut it down. I mean, they obviously have like a feed somewhere. They got a pot somewhere that they can mute him.
Then do you think those? First of all, him talking to the fans thing is ridiculous. He needs to stop doing that. But do you think that's live, like the fans?
Yeah, I think they're doing doing a Zoom thing, probably. Like
I think there's no way it's live. Because how do you keep someone from like just going double birds at the camera? Or like,
exactly.
Like F this, like yelling. Like I think they pre-recorded it, streamed it, all that stuff. So him talking to the fans, as ridiculous as it already is even more ridiculous because he's talking to a fake video, basically.
Yeah, and I think, and also have to shout out to the Cowboys because a couple of their squares was Cowboys cheerleaders. So I think they did the best job there. All right, real quick, guys. There's some breaking news, and shout out to Mike Watson on the watch party because he brought it up. Trent Williams has been traded from the Redskins to the 49ers. Looks like, according to Ian Rappaport on Twitter, says the Redskins are trading Trent Williams to the 49ers, and the Redskins will receive a fifth rounder this year and a third rounder in next year's draft. Now, Trent Williams' name has been out there for to be traded to all kinds of teams, and the 49ers just keep getting bigger and better. Obviously, bigger with Trent Williams and better with him as well. So, thoughts about this trade? I mean, I think it's a pretty good trade for the 49ers, Zach Luceto.
And there's like a rumor going around that he declined being traded to Minnesota.
Yeah.
So I think that's huge in terms of like what players think is the next almost kind of dynasty type thing. And he has more faith in the 49ers than Minnesota as a franchise. I think this is a really big blow for the Browns. I think the Browns are really hoping to get a guy like that to shore up their offensive line, which has been kind of voided ever since Joe Thomas left. But I think it's a huge move for the 49ers. I think it really solidifies them as hopefully being a successful franchise for a long time.
So the Redskins, like they trade Trent Williams and then they draft Sadiq Charles, the offensive tackle the tackle out of LSU. So were the Redskins just waiting to see who the possible replacement was? Paul Rodriguez?
I think I was getting a little concerned there, and that's kind of what I went. I went straight to the draft to kind of see who they picked up in this, this so far rather. And I think for Sadiq Charles to kind of get put back into Washington makes this, I think, a very good trade and for the Redskins. They're not gonna have to endure that cap hit with Trent Williams' contract, but at the same time, picking up draft capital for this draft and then a third next year, I think is a really big move because obviously if we're seeing so much value in second and third round picks this year, we'll probably most likely see it again next year. And so I got to give, Daniel Snyder and his team props for not, messing this up. They made the right pick with taking, the number 2 overall pick with the defensive end, Chase Young out of Ohio State. And then, of course, they went and followed up with a good receiver to help out Haskins. So we'll see. But for them to trade that contract away was good for the cap. And then bringing in his replacement with Charles at a national championship, LSU Tigers.
Yeah. And
I think also, Chris,
go ahead, Zach.
I think it kind of goes to show that the Raiders don't have full confidence in Dwayne Haskins yet as being in like a win now type mode.
The Redskins.
I mean, because I think if they really believed in Dwayne Haskins and that he was going to be the guy to immediately kind of take them to the next level, they would keep a guy like Trent Williams for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they're just. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Trent Williams is just ready to get out of there. There's all kinds of things that could be happening in the behind the scenes. But yeah, I mean. And Mike Watson's, he says on the watch party, I'm sure he's happy to go to a winning team with the 49ers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, the 49ers, I mean, it seems like they haven't missed a beat here. And they're doing some, I mean, it was kind of weird when they were trading. Go ahead.
Their only problem is quarterback. I mean, that's their only issue right now. As soon as they can find a viable quarterback, they'll be really ready. I mean, Chris, Garoppolo had a wide open receiver in the end zone to win the Super Bowl, and he overthrew him. I mean, come on, who misses that kind of pass? Hell, Dak Prescott could have made that pass.
Zach, what do you think about Jimmy Grapes?
I think Jimmy. Whenever BJ was talking about quarterbacks that are worse than Dak Prescott,
yeah.
there were so many other names that I wanted to say, but I just wanted to
say them now.
I think Jimmy G could be someone that
Jimmy Garoppolo
better than Dak.
Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to remember. Okay, so this is just and we're kind of getting off a topic here, but that was a good topic because I maybe
it'd be impossible to name eight quarterbacks better than Dak, and I did it in 2 minutes.
So so shout out everybody that's on our watch party right now. If y'all didn't get to see our draft party the other day, BJ made a special guest appearance for about 3.5 hours, and he was saying, Wes, hating on Jimmy G ? I'm not. Other people are. I'm not. Paul is. I think Paul Rodriguez is. But the question the other day was from BJ was name 8 quarterbacks that are better than Dak Prescott, because BJ was a big Dak Prescott guy. I'm not a big fan. Paul's not a big fan. Zach, you named a few right off the bat. There's a couple that were question
right
mark.
off the bat.
What?
I named 8 right off the bat.
I know.
I was really careful to name solidified quarterbacks, because I knew if I said anything of younger people, DJ was going to talk for 3 hours. I wanted him to hurry up and get off so I could call, and that ended up not happening. So,
you could have just called, man. You could have just called.
We could 4-way this thing.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, but conference calls, baby. All right, let's see. John Simpson, Clemson offensive guard, went to the Raiders. The New York Giants pick is in round 4, pick 4. The Dolphins are going to be next at pick 111, and then the Chargers at pick 112. This is Recon Athlete episode number 72. Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez, Zach Luceto. What you got, Zach?
Speaking of the Dolphins, I wanted to get your guys' opinion on the first Longhorn being taken in the draft. Was Brandon Jones. Was that something y'all saw coming? Or did y'all think it was going to be Duvernay or Johnson?
Paul?
I thought it was going to be Duvernay, and just because I thought his value was so high. But for Brandon Jones to come off the board, I think that's just a little bit of a testament. I'll clap it up real quick for Coach Herman and his staff, but I did not see that coming.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't either. I mean, I thought just the buzz that was around Duvernay. Now, it's not surprising. The fact that Duvernay kind of, I wouldn't say slipped, but I mean, there's just so much talent in the wide receiver pool that I think any other year he might have been picked a little bit higher. But and I think maybe that's the only reason why Brandon Jones got picked before Devin Duvernay this year, just because of the amount of talent that the wide receivers have this year. But yeah, Brandon Jones, I mean, he's a big run support guy. Dolphins are obviously making moves. They decided to start going after going Tua in the first round, and then getting Austin Jackson, the tackle, and then the guy that I can't say his last name, the cornerback out of Auburn. Zach, do you know how to say his name?
Cornerback out of Auburn.
Noah
Igbenaki.
Mike Watson was on here the other day. He told us he said it rhymed with mahogany.
Lindsay.
So, but yeah, I mean, I don't, it's not, Brandon Jones. I think personally, I think any other draft, Devin Duvernay would have went first. But shout out to Texas getting a couple guys in there. I know Colin Johnson's still out there, so we'll see. All right, let me go back to the draft here. The draft cast looks like the Dolphins went with Georgia guard Solomon Kinley, and there's been Darnay Holmes, cornerback out of UCLA, went to the Giants. Josh Kelly, running back out of UCLA, went to the Chargers. Draft picks are just rolling in now, so it looks like they're still going running backs still coming off the board. Offensive linemen looks like offensive line might dominate this 4th round here. Paul, what do you think?
Yeah, the way it's trending right now, I think the that value is kind of at a premium right now for teams. So, I mean, hey, Dallas, why don't you join the party and pick up a center offensive guard so we can fill that gap for Travis Frederick.
Yeah, and Jacob Eason still sitting out there, quarterback out of Georgia and quarterback out of Washington, respectively. And I'm trying to look at this, DraftCast here and see if there's anybody that needs a quarterback that's coming up here. Oh, come on, sorry, y'all. I'm getting a little flustered here. ESPN's thing. Let's see the Panthers. I know Teddy Bridgewater's there, and Paul, I know you're a believer in Teddy Bridgewater. I am not, so I'm interested to see if they would. Cardinals are coming up next. The Browns at 115. They don't need a quarterback. The Jaguars at 116. Maybe thoughts? Maybe
no, man. Let me tell you how I know they're not in the neighborhood for a quarterback. They decided to go with Minshew over Leonard Fournette because when Leonard Fournette was trying to campaign for Cam Newton, they gave him they put him on the market before he wasn't on the market. So that just tells me that ownership said, "Nah, we want Minshew more than we want your services. We don't need Cam Newton here, so we'll go ahead and put you on the block, see what happens."
Yeah. All right. But I will say something about the Jaguars. They got C.J. Henderson, cornerback out of Florida, and then they got K'Lavon Chaisson, who basically fell in their lap at the 20th pick, the edge rusher out of LSU. They got the kid out of Colorado. Zach, how do you say his name? Laviska Shenault.
Oh yeah, Laviska Shenault.
Yeah, Laviska Shenault, and then they got Devon Hamilton, Ohio State defensive tackle. I'm talking about the Jaguars here. The Jaguars have got this is a pretty impressive draft so far. What do you think, Paul Rodriguez, with Henderson, Chaisson, Shenault, and Hamilton?
Listen, man, it's about acquiring the skill set that you need to be successful. And I hate to say it, but I mean, that division they're in the AFC South, it's not really as prevalent and heavy as it was before because of D-Hop moving on to Arizona. Mm-hmm. But man, I'll tell you what, Indianapolis, I think, is going to be the big favorite. So Jacksonville needs to do everything in their power to keep up because Phillip Rivers is going to come to play and he's going to chirp in your ear and let you know about it too.
That's true. That is very true. All right, let me go back to pick is in. Do you see the pick yet, Paul?
No, I don't.
Okay. This is it's kind of fun. We might end up doing this whole watch party thing again. Hold on. All right, Recon Athlete, episode 72. Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez, and Zach Lucetto on the line. Shout out to everybody that's been on our watch party. Shout out to Emilio, still out there. Emilio Waters, the Sarge. Shout out to Anthony Lopez. What's up, Panas? And Mike Watson out there, Wes. And Melanie's still out there. Melanie Melanson.
Chris.
What's up?
We were talking about Longhorn. First off, I think if the Ravens didn't take Duvernay like 2 picks before, I think the Packers would have gotten him instead of. I think the Packers would have drafted him. But I think I wanted to ask: do you think if Colin Johnson would have come out last year instead of coming back for his senior year, he would have been taken already?
Yeah, I think so, man.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And I thought last year that, him coming back as a Longhorn fan, I was excited. I was like, cool, having Colin Johnson back, it's going to be great for Sam. But at the same time, I was also like, dude, go get your money, kid. Like, this is, I didn't think that his value in the draft was going to get any better than it was at the time. And obviously it's gotten worse because there was so much talent. And even a guy on his own team got drafted before him. So, hindsight's always 20/20, Zach, but I thought that if Colin Johnson would have went last year, would have been better for him and his career. Paul, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think you're totally on brand right there because, excuse me, that Colin Johnson's skill set is extremely high, and I think that this senior season, and we kind of touched on it during this past 2019 football season, but I think he should have come out because he's losing he's probably lost millions just in this draft alone by not coming out last year.
Yeah. Zach, what do you think about your own assessment or your own question?
I think you just kind of got to be more aware of like who else is coming out in terms of big name receivers, and I think I can't even really think of too many off the top of my head that were the big name guys at the position last year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe you weren't going to be a first round pick, but I mean, I think you'd definitely be off the board right now, and especially, I mean, after his junior year, he was without a doubt not only one of the best receivers in the Big 12, but for sure the best receiver in the Longhorn.
Yeah.
So, and I think you lose both of those things coming back to your senior year. I think it was a trade. I think the school itself and the culture had a lot to do with him coming back. But in terms of getting your money, like you said, Chris, I think he missed out on a lot. But I mean, he has NFL like pedigree with his dad and stuff. So I mean, he's gonna end up on the roster, and he's probably gonna end up playing meaningful downs for an NFL team. But I think he definitely would have been off the board by now. And I think with Brandon Jones, we talked about him a minute ago. He was always the guy that I thought was going to get drafted first. Just because, like, if you think of who was the most solid guys, anytime you tune into a Longhorn game the past like 3 years, it was Brandon Jones. Like, you knew Brandon Jones was going to make the play. He wasn't going to do anything flashy. Even on punt returns, I just read that he averaged like 10 yards a return in punt returns, which again was nothing flashy, but he always was kind of going the right direction. And I think he fits really well for the Dolphins, the team that just got rid of one of their all-pro safeties. I think he's going to be great in the run support, like you said. I think he's going to be in kind of an era of position of football. I think he's going to be a guy that plays closer to the line of scrimmage, a guy that rushes the passer sometimes, a guy that lines up with linebackers and stuff like that. I think that fits him really well.
Yeah, I think it's good. It's great for his skill set to be there in Miami. All right, Recon Athlete episodes 72. Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez, Zach Luceto on the line. Looks like we had a few picks. Panthers go with Troy Pride Jr., cornerback out of Notre Dame. Utah defensive tackle Lakai Fotu goes to the Cardinals, and then Florida Atlantic tight end Harrison Bryant goes to the Browns. The Browns are still, I guess they're. I mean, don't they have a tight end already in Njoku? I mean, I don't get.
They got more.
Like Austin Hooper as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think Odell Beckham is drafting for the Browns.
I mean, yeah.
Every other pick is an LSU player.
I mean, like it's crazy, man. I mean, like why get another tight end? I don't understand that pick. But the Jaguars are on the clock now. It goes Jaguars, Vikings, and then Broncos. And then I'm looking at Atlanta, Jets, Lions, Colts, and then Cowboys. So we'll you know what? It's 11:32. We'll stay up here until the Cowboys pick at pick 123. It looks like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 picks away. So we can get our reaction to that. So shout out to everybody that's all on our watch party. Looks like Anthony Lopez showed up. Zach's on there. Michelle C. What's up, Michelle? Craig Barnes and Zach Luceto. Let's see, Mike and everybody else. Man. Oh, Amelia Wada is still on there. And Melanie's still on there. Shout out to everybody on the watch party.
So I got a question for you, for both of you guys real quick. I know y'all are avid University of Texas Longhorn, supporters. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to ask a question. Yes, I am. So I want to ask you a question, especially Zach Lucero. How much, because you frequent these events, how much do you think men's basketball tickets are going to cost next year with Greg Brown III going to University of Texas?
I think Chris will no longer last second go to a game with a friend because it costs 10 cents.
You think I'll go to not the last game of the season next year? If there's a season,
it won't cost you. It'll cost you more than a Whataburger. That's for sure.
Yeah. It cost me like, I don't know, what did I spend? Like $40? Yeah, it cost me $40 a ticket. Got a couple tickets.
Where were you sitting?
Lower level.
I don't think that'll happen. I think I think tickets will be a lot more resale next year.
Yeah, I was like pretty much back row, but on lower level. I wasn't in mezzanine. But yeah, they were $40 a pop, and that was just walking up. Like I walked up pretty much at game time, and those tickets were still available. So, and we're talking about.
I think the box office is going to sell out. I think season tickets are going to go up, especially because some of the people in the area already know that name.
Mm-hmm.
So those like prominent Vandy families and stuff like that know Greg Brown already are going to re-up their season tickets or get their season tickets back or start using their company tickets or something like that. And I was talking to Steve last night. I think just his position brings a lot more hype than some of the past. I mean, because UT has had lottery picks in the Shaka Smart era.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had what's the dude's name for the Nets? I forgot it last night too, with the fro.
I see his face and I can't remember his name, but I'll look.
Jared Allen.
Yeah, Jared Allen. Jared Allen. Yeah.
They had Miles Turner.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they had guys that are playing in the NBA. They had guys that were drafted really early, but I think you lose some of that, like, I don't know, like style points, like allure, whatever, when you're talking about a center versus when you're talking about a guy that's going to stretch the court like Greg Brown.
Yeah.
I think it just brings a different level of excitement, and I think even if you like look on YouTube, the number of views that the number 1 overall player in the nation has, that's the center versus the number 10 overall player that the guard has on their mixtapes. I think just his position alone is going to bring about a bunch of hype.
Yeah, and we're talking about Greg Brown, the much anticipated decision by the 5-star blue chip recruit out of Vandegrift. Had a offer to go play in the G League for about $300,000, but decided to go. Reportedly.
Yeah, I thought I heard
500. Yeah, I've heard 250. I heard 300. I heard $500,000 to go play in the G League, but decided to go play for Shaka Smart and the Texas Longhorns, the Texas basketball team instead. And I fully expect him to be one and done. Is there any reason why he wouldn't be one and done, Zach Luceto?
No, I mean, you've seen guys get hurt and not play their whole year and still be one and done. So I think there's no shot that he's not.
Yeah, and I think
that for the first year.
And the only reason why I think that's kind of, it kind of perplexes me is because, like, why wouldn't, I mean, I guess you get to go and get that college experience. I don't want to, guess about, what his economic situation is, but if he's going to Vandegrift, I mean, that might be okay. But still, I mean, you're not even getting the new stadium, the new arena that's going to come out in 2022 for the Longhorns. So you're going to miss that. But I guess, I don't know. You never know with these kids. You don't know what their mindsets are. And, it's exciting for the Longhorns to get him. But now can they do anything with him? You know what I'm saying? Like, Probably not. Yeah. I mean, does this make them all of a sudden? I mean, they do have a lot of guys coming back. I mean, does this all of a sudden make them a Sweet 16, or Elite 8 team, Zach?
But I want to ask, to go off of that question, I want to ask Paul a question.
Okay.
For a school like Texas, that's a football school, if you're going to, like you said, bring up ticket prices, bring up attendance with a guy like Greg Brown, with the coach, which is all because of Shaka Smart. He's only going to Texas because of Shaka Smart.
Right.
Does it even matter if you capitalize on that in terms of winning?
Yeah, I think it does, because I think there's going to be, and I had a follow-up question, but and this kind of going to be the point of my question is, I think you do that because I think you're going to have a lot of people who are going to want to be in attendance, and I think you're going to have potentially celebrities who are going to be in attendance, and just following the tradition of former athletes and celebrities. Like, I got a really good feeling you're going to see McConaughey in more basketball games because he's always at football games. I think you're going to see a lot of former Longhorns like Vince Young being at games. And my question to follow up, which I think having the celebrity status raises prices so that you can capitalize on that with the school. But my follow-up question is, I mean, how many games does Kevin Durant come to the game, because I mean, I'm seeing gifs all over the place about, you know, the reaction with Kevin Durant pounding his chest while he's in the Texas Longhorn jersey, with the commitments from Greg Brown. And so I think with having the celebrity status come back to the University of Texas, I think that this is going to be an opportunity for them to kind of reclaim, you know, that elite university status, because for so long everybody was dependent on the football team to, you know, be successful. And the last time I think the University of Texas was at a prominence was when Kevin Durant was playing basketball here. And so this is an opportunity, I think, for, you know, the university to capture some celebrity status, make a little money on the back end, and you know, let everybody enjoy that experience locally.
Zach?
You know, I think for a school like Texas, that's a football school. As long as you're not bad, that's all you need. And I think Texas has. I think they're, because of these big name players that they've had, and because of their like small amount of success that they've had, a couple, like by making the tournament a couple times, I think their expectation has kind of shifted in a upwards, which is negative for the team.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they just need to get to a point. I think Texas is going to be one of those schools that's not going to hold a coach for very long. They're not going to be a team that regularly competes in like Sweet 16 and up. And I don't think that matters. I think as long as you're sending out NBA talent, as long as you're selling tickets, I think that's all that really matters, and that's all you really need for a program like basketball at a school like Texas.
Yeah, you just need to make that money. So Greg Brown, the 6'8" forward out of Vandergrift, he turned down offers from Kentucky, Auburn, Memphis, and Michigan. Also an offer paying over $300,000 from the G League to go to the University of Texas. And here's a quote from Greg Brown. It's a real hard decision. It took me until the final hour to really decide where I want to go. 5 schools gave me a great opportunity, and the G League gave me a great opportunity. It was great visiting all schools and campuses. The coaches were great, and the players were great. I just reached out to family and friends, and I can't thank them enough for helping me with this decision, because it was very, very tough. It was a long process. I decided in the final hour today after I woke up this morning, but I'm happy to say I'm committing to the University of Texas Hook 'em Horns. I mean, do you think that he really decided in that last hour, Zach?
Sorry, I got a ESPN alert. What'd you ask?
I said, do you really think he decided this whole thing in the last hour before, you know, like in that 1 o'clock hour before his 2 o'clock decision? You think he made that decision right then, like he says he did?
I mean, I think the G League really like threw a wrench in his plans.
Yeah.
So I think if so, it's because of that. But I was on Snoop Show last night, and I was like, it's probably really hard not to go to Texas when you live in Austin. You're at a school like Vandergrift that has so many ties back to the university, and you live in a house with a dad that played football at Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's got to be really hard not to.
Yeah. That's probably what it was. You know, he's, you know, probably has Longhorn stuff everywhere. It's just, you know, used to seeing that stuff. So Greg Brown going to the University of Texas. All right, Recon Athlete, episode number 72, Chris Sanchez, Paul Rodriguez, and Zach Lucetto on the line. And we're going to stay on air here, quote unquote, until the Cowboys pick at number 123. They're on pick 120 with the Jets. Since I last went over this, looks like Ben Barch, St. John's, offensive tackle. DJ Wanham, South Carolina defensive end, went to the Vikings. Barch went to the Jaguars, so the Jaguars get a tackle. Missouri got a tight end out of Denver got a tight end out of Missouri. I'm not even going to try to say his name.
I like that guy. I like him a lot.
Okay. Then Michael Walker,
big body guy.
Let me see. Let me look. So they got let's see. He was position rank was 6th overall. Yeah, 6'6", 258 pounds. A rare combination of size, speed, length, and hand span. It says he lines up wide in the slot and inside sometimes. So yeah, I mean, it's a
very, very Jimmy Graham-esque, I'd say.
Oh, really?
except darker.
Okay. Michael Walker, Fresno State linebacker, going to the Falcons. Now the Jets are on the clock. And they got the Lions, the Colts, and then our Cowboys going at 123. And we're asked by Wes earlier, if we thought that the Cowboys would go center or safety. There's still the kid out of the Wisconsin still sitting out there. I'm not sure if he would. I don't know if he was going to go in the next 3 picks, but let's see what the best available is here on according to ESPN. Of course, Jake Fromm and Jacob Eason still sitting out there. Looks like Amik Robertson, cornerback. Looks like cornerbacks, running backs, and there's a couple of tackles. Trey Adams out of Washington. There's some tight end. Hunter
Who's the
Bryant.
backup quarterback in doubt?
Cooper Rush. Right, Paul?
What was the question? I'm sorry.
Why are you not paying attention?
I'm looking at best available for linemen for the Dallas Cowboys to pick. I'm in my GM mode, bro.
Okay,
I'm in my GM mode, looking for talent here.
It was the quarterback, a backup quarterback for the Cowboys, Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush.
Yeah.
Yes.
So okay,
correct.
so you're looking at linemen, you're looking at best available. What do you think? What are you seeing right now for the Cowboys here in 3 picks?
It kind of just depends on what they really want. And I think the best available for me is, I think you're spot on with the center out of Wisconsin, Tyler Bidaz, if that's how you pronounce his name.
Yeah.
6'4", 313. His position rank is 3rd. I mean, he's got an overall ranking of 89, which, what do they do at Wisconsin, Chris? They run the football.
Yep.
And what do the Dallas Cowboys need?
Mm-hmm.
What do the Dallas Cowboys need to do? Run the football.
Yep.
And so I think that would be the best pick for them. I think with his overall ranking and his position ranking, man, I think you got to pull the trigger here. But I mean, there's a lot of skill set that I think Jerry Jones is looking at, especially like on the overall best available right now. And I mean, geez, do they really want to go, like outside linebacker here? Do they really need another rush end? Because we have a lot. We're still in limbo with Randy Gregory and with Alden Smith, if they're going to be able to play per Roger Goodell. So that's a void they need. I don't know if they do that. I think the bigger need is at center. And if he can, solidify that with, I think, a higher end center, I think you got to make that choice in this round.
I got to shout out Cedric Irvin real quick. He joined the watch party, man. He's an old Westwood Warrior. Shout out. What up, Big Ced? That dude was a beast. He played defensive tackle. LaMichael Pirine goes to the Jets, Florida running back. Zach, he's related to Samaje, right?
He's a primo.
I don't.
He's a cousin.
I thought he was cousin.
I don't think they're related. But he was really good in college. I liked him a lot. But looking at best available, you know who I really like is that linebacker out of Oregon, Troy Dye. He was super fun to watch in college. Like high motor guy, pretty fast for the position. He's definitely like a 4-3 outside linebacker in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But I like him a lot. I think whoever's going to end up getting him will get a real steal.
All right. Detroit Lions are on the clock right now. Then we got the Colts. Detroit's pick 121, Colts 122, and then our Cowboys at 123. If they don't go with that Wisconsin center, if they decide to go a safety, let me look. Have you seen what's out there for safety, Paul? I'm trying to pull up. My computer's slow because I got all these programs going on.
Yeah, Geno Stone out of Iowa would probably be the next safety up, but I don't know, man. I think you're reaching there. I think they should take either Dye like Zach was saying, or fill that center role with Tyler Vidaz. That's how you say it.
Okay. All right, and it looks like the pick was made. Man, come on, computer, don't die on me. Have you seen the pick, Paul?
Give me one moment.
Or Zach? Have you seen
for Indianapolis or for the Lions?
I guess the Lions were up.
Sternberg.
Yeah, Logan Sternberg from Kentucky.
Okay. It's another Wildcat. Shout out Scotty C. Another Wildcat coming off the board. And that was now the Indianapolis Colts are on the clock. So Logan Stenberg out of Kentucky guard going to the Lions. Maybe he'll try to. Does this say that there was a trade?
Yeah, that was a trade.
Okay, and then from the Raiders, and looks like the Colts.
I also like the DBs from Louisiana Tech that are still on the board. I think that there's a safety and a corner left.
Okay.
I mean, they gave Texas some fits when they played them. I think those guys are good value too. And I think also what people have to realize is when your team needs a safety, that it's not necessarily they're going to draft a guy that played safety in college.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times they'll draft a corner or vice versa and turn them into the position that they want.
Yeah, or even like a weak side linebacker or somebody that's
right, exactly.
Somebody can move. But not necessarily. They might have played linebacker in college, but play safety at the NFL level. All right, Colts, hurry up so we can get to our Cowboys. Colts are on the clock right now. A lot of people are probably saying that. All the Cowboys fans are saying that right now. They got about 2.5 minutes left. While they're doing that, I just want to mention shout out to Ultimate Franchise. I did actually fellas, I did a baseball fantasy draft last night. I didn't realize it was going to happen until Thursday night because I got a text message from the commish. I was missing I hadn't logged in yet. I didn't think we were going to draft anytime soon. He was like, hey, the draft is tomorrow night. So I'm going to have to say I did not do any prep for the draft that we had last night for baseball, but it was only 10 teams. So I think I did pretty well. So, but shout out to all the homies on Ultimate Franchise. Shout out to Ron Castillo. Brandon Wark, Alex Franco from the Mix 94.7 morning show is on there as well. I usually dominate the regular season in that league, so I probably will do the same this year. Zach, do you do any fantasy baseball?
No, I do not. It's only players for me.
Oh man, I mean, I always tell everybody this: if you love fantasy football, if you're as big into fantasy football as you are, and I always tell BJ this too. And BJ's actually played a couple of seasons of fantasy baseball. I mean, he's okay. I mean, if we started a league, I'd probably wipe the floor with him. But it's fantasy baseball. I mean, it's a long season, and especially the league that I'm in. It's a daily league, meaning you can change your lineup every single day, which I do. It's just, but it gets you into baseball. You learn so much. I know Snoop's a big fantasy baseball guy. And if you're on the fence about baseball, if you are a fan, but you don't really get into it as much, try a league, maybe try a weekly league that you set the lineup on Sundays. So, it's similar to football. Don't try to get into, a daily league right off the bat, cause it's just going to be overwhelming. But hopefully,
I think if you're going to do it, you just do it and do a daily league.
You think so?
Yeah, go all in,
Yeah. I mean, that's the way I do it, but I've told people to do it that before, and then like maybe a month in, they gave up. They're like, man, it's just too much. And it's like, all right, well, maybe you should have just did the weekly league. But yeah, but baseball it's so much. I want to say there's a lot less luck involved in baseball because there's so many games that the averages always come out at the end. So that's why I like baseball, because in football, fantasy football, and this, guys, you can just get lucky, like with who you got playing, who the opponent is, who the bye week guys are. I mean, you can just kind of luck out and win a Super Bowl in football sometimes. Doesn't happen all the time. You got to know, kind of depending on who you're playing against. But I think there's a lot of, there's a lot of luck involved with football.
I think next season we should have a recon league for every sport.
All right.
And all three of us have to play and then get it filled with people that watch the podcast.
All right. Well, let's do football for sure.
Wow. Y'all see that?
Yes, I did. Indianapolis Colts go with Washington quarterback Jacob Eason. I like that pick. Zach Lucetto, your reaction.
He just looks like someone that would be a quarterback in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
He kind of looks like Peyton Manning, big, tall, white dude. But I think it makes sense. I think you're trying to find the guy for after Phillip Rivers. If it's not going to be Brissett, then who is it going to be? And no better time to have a guy kind of train is when you have a veteran there to train him. So I think that's a good pick.
I mean, Jacob Eason could easily be like the quarterback that comes out of this class that has the most success.
I mean, a lot of people thought he was going to be when he was at Georgia. I mean, he was like a big time name. He's like kind of the way they talked about Justin Herbert. They were talking about Jacob Eason, and I think just because the notoriety of guys like Tua, guys like a season like Joe Burrow had, the kind of late push that Jordan Love made, I think it took away for the person that suffered the most was Jacob Eason.
Yeah, it's also one of those things where they played out in on the West Coast too. Him and Herbert. So a lot of people didn't really get to see those guys play a whole lot. But from what I saw out of Jacob Eason, I mean, he missed passes here and there, but I was always impressed, not only with his stature, but with what he was able to do out on the football field. So, all right, the Cowboys are on the clock right now. A little bit more than 2.5 minutes left. We will see. Kid out of Wisconsin still there. I'm going to see if they make this pick, Paul. They get the center out of Wisconsin. I'm going to just rubber stamp this a great draft for the Dallas Cowboys and put an A on it already. What do you think if they do that?
I think you're totally accurate with that. It's been, we were highly concerned. I remember you and I were talking about this, and we had a lot of anxiety. I think more anticipation is probably the better word. So we had more anticipation for this draft in the Dallas Cowboys because I think that we both believe they have one of the best rosters in the NFL, and they had a couple of big holes, and they've done everything so far, I think, correctly based off the position they were in to, acquire some talent. And I would just be ecstatic if they can make the right pick right here and call it a successful draft. Now, I think the next step is going to be hopefully we can have a regular season rather than a adjusted schedule.
All right, pick is in. We will see where the Dallas Cowboys go. Let's see. Oh man, I'm getting nervous. Oh no, man. Will Jerry make the right move? Shout out Emo. Emo gets on the watch party. Kind of late, Emo. Where you been, bro?
It's all good.
Shout out.
He was watching the Dolphins draft.
He's excited about his Dolphins. Emo's officially a Dolphins fan this year. You can't. You're not allowed to cheer for the Cowboys, Emo. Not allowing it. Come on, pick is in. Let me know. Let me know if you see it before I do. Shout out to everybody on the watch party. Selection made.
Here we go. Go ahead.
What? Okay. Reggie Robinson II at a Tulsa cornerback. I guess they need cornerbacks. Paul,
I think
reaction?
they have put. Whatever. It's just. I don't get it. I mean, you're acquiring so many free agents before the draft that were in the secondary, and you go out and you get an elite corner, and unless this dude's a hard hitting cornerback from Tulsa, G5 school, non-Power 5, it just doesn't make sense to me. This guy, I mean, unless I'm missing something, and I'm trying to get the breakdown, like basically what his attributes are, and it hasn't popped up yet. So I don't know. We'll make do. But hey, Jerry had to let us down one way or another, and here it is.
Yeah. Shout out to Mike Watson. He says, "Damn it, Jerry, you strike again." Yeah, that's exactly what happened here. Golly. I mean, come on, man. Come on, Jerry. Like, it was just sitting there. He's sitting there staring at you in the face. Big, strong, probably cerebral. Cerebral center out of Wisconsin. I mean, just staring at you, looking at you. I mean, you had your center, Travis Frederick, retire, and, like, they don't even have a write-up on Reggie Robinson. Like, I don't even see it.
I've been on mute for the past, 10 minutes. Just been trying to talk to y'all. Thinking y'all ignoring me.
Man,
mute yourself?
You need to look at your phone.
You muted yourself?
Yeah.
You're hilarious. What's hilarious is you didn't even know. You just think we're blatantly ignoring you.
See.
Jeez.
All right. Well, what were you saying that we missed?
Well, first off, I said when you were talking about the Cowboys, one of the most talented rosters. I said, speaking of talent on rosters, how about BJ saying that the Packers had no good players? And then I said, whenever you announce the pick, that's also one of the players that Texas got to play against in this past season, last season, the season before. And I mean, he ended up doing a really good job. I think that was one of the first games where Colin Johnson matched up against that guy, and that guy followed him the whole game. And a lot of people were disappointed in Colin Johnson not putting on a better performance against them than he did.
Yeah, I mean, and it could be end up being a good pick. It's just like, to me, it's not what you need right now. I feel like maybe you could have got this guy in the 5th round. Now, maybe the Wisconsin kid will still be there in the 5th round. The Cowboys do have 2 5th-round picks, 19th and 34th in the 5th round. So we'll see, but I don't know. Shout out to Mike Watt. Don't do it, Mike. He says, I'm going to go take my Clorox tabs and end it all. But we'll see. Shout out to everybody that's on the watch party. It's noon o'clock. I want to go and sit on my couch and watch this draft. So I'm going to go ahead and end this.
I'll be over in a minute.
All right, man. That's cool. Just 6 feet, man. But yeah, I'm chilling. All right, Zach. We'll holler. Do you want to give any shout outs before you go?
Shout out to me for giving good takes all episode long.
All right.
While you were on mute.
Yeah, while I was on mute. Those are some of my best takes that y'all didn't even hear.
Paul Rodriguez, shout outs.
Man, shout out to everybody trying to get things back to normal.
Yeah.
That's what I want to shout out to.
All right, and then I'm going to shout out to God, shout out to my parents down in Buda, shout out to everybody that was on the watch party, shout out to Mike Watson, Emo, everybody that was commenting, the Sarge, Emilio Juarez, shout out to West Washington, Scotty C. Let's see, who else was out there commenting? Looks like I can't remember. I got Wes. I got everybody. Oh, Luke was on there. Shout out to Luke. Luke Jansen was on there. Looks like that was everybody. But everybody, appreciate everybody joining us on episode 72 here on Recon Athlete. We'll talk a little bit more draft coming up on Wednesday night, 8 o'clock. And we'll get into some more of the offers and commits for high school. Also want to shout out to Kreitz Market, our feature sponsor, along with the Social and Focus Fit San Marcos. Thank you for sponsoring this great podcast. All right, Paul, do your thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, if y'all are enjoying the podcast, please like, subscribe, and comment down below. And always, everybody YouTube, hit the bell. We'll let you know when we upload. We gone.
Back here live at the Waterfront Village with my friend, the zombie, Jonathan. You're looking good. Jonathan just got an awesome face paint job. What do you think?
I like turtles.